Have you ever had one of those days when the world feels too loud? Where everything seems to demand your attention, and even silence feels heavy? There was a man who once stood by the ocean, watching the waves crash against the rocks. His heart was restless. His thoughts were louder than the sea itself. He had lost something, not an object, not a person, but a sense of peace he couldn't name. He had everything the world said would make him happy: success, comfort, admiration, and yet, inside, there was a storm that never seemed to end. As he stood there, watching the tide rise and fall, an old monk approached him. The monk carried nothing but a small bowl of water. Without saying a word, he placed the bowl on the sand and asked the man to look at his reflection inside it. But the man couldn't see anything. The surface was trembling from the wind. Then the monk said gently, "This bowl is like your mind. When it's disturbed, you can't see your own reflection clearly. But when it becomes still, truth appears effortlessly." The man stood silent, and in that stillness, something in him shifted. That story, my friend, is not just about one man. It's about us, about the way our minds ripple with worry, anger, and fear, and how peace begins only when the mind learns to rest. Lesson 1: Calm your mind, and life follows. Everything, every joy, every pain, every experience, begins in the mind. In Buddhist wisdom, the mind is not one part of who you are, it is who you are. Your thoughts shape your emotions. Your emotions shape your actions. And your actions shape your entire life. So if your thoughts are chaotic, your life will mirror that chaos. But if your thoughts are calm, your life becomes a reflection of that calm. The Buddha once said, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought." Think about that. Your world is not just what happens to you, it's what happens within you. Two people can go through the same situation. One finds peace, the other finds pain. The difference isn't in the circumstance, it's in the mind that meets it. A restless mind turns small problems into mountains. It exaggerates fear, feeds confusion, and blinds us with stories that aren't real. But a calm mind can face even the greatest storm and still remain clear. When your inner world is quiet, the outer world loses its power over you. You stop being controlled by what's happening around you, and start living from a deeper, steadier place within. That's why monks don't seek perfection in the outside world. They don't try to control the waves, they learn how to surf. They train their minds to stay steady no matter how wild the current becomes. So how do you begin this training? You start small. With awareness. With the breath. With the simple act of coming back. The next time your thoughts start racing, pause. Feel your feet on the ground. Listen to your breath, slow, steady, patient. For in that breath lives the present moment. Not the future that worries you. Not the past that haunts you. But this quiet, eternal now. And in that now, peace is always available. When you realize that you are not your thoughts, but the observer watching them come and go, You reclaim your power. You stop letting your mind drag you into fear. And instead, you choose presence. Letting go and living in the flow of life. There is a story told about a young monk who carried a heavy backpack everywhere he went. Inside it were stones, one for every regret, every mistake, every person he couldn't forgive. He carried it to meditation, to meals, even to sleep. One day, his teacher asked him, "Why do you carry so much weight?" The monk said, "These stones remind me of my failures. I don't want to forget them." The teacher smiled and said, "Then you will never be free. You cannot walk the path of peace if you keep carrying what life is trying to let go." The monk hesitated. "But if I drop them, who will I be?" The teacher replied, "You will be lighter." Lesson 2. Let go of what you cannot control. Most of our suffering doesn't come from what happens to us. It comes from the way we cling to what happens. We hold on to people who have already left. We replay conversations that are long over. We try to rewrite the past in our minds, as if doing so will make it fair. But life doesn't move backward. It only flows, like water, endlessly forward. The Buddha once said, "Attachment is the root of suffering." When we attach our peace to outcomes, to people, or to things, we hand over our happiness to something we cannot control. You can love deeply. You can care fully. You can give your best. But you cannot control how the world responds. The rain will fall when it must. The leaves will drop when their time comes. And just like that, life unfolds according to its own rhythm. So what does letting go really mean? It doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become numb or cold. It means you stop fighting reality. You stop demanding that life should be something other than what it is. You stop resisting what has already happened. You breathe. You release. You make space for what's next. Because when you finally stop clinging to what's gone, you create room for peace to enter. Imagine holding sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. But if you open your palm, the sand rests there gently. That's how life works. Hold it softly. Be gentle with it. And you'll realize, you never needed to control it at all. When you let go, you don't lose control, you gain clarity. You see life as it really is, not as you wish it to be. Suddenly, you notice beauty where there was once bitterness. You find acceptance where there was once fear. You begin to trust that what leaves your life was never meant to stay. And what stays will never need to be forced. Letting go is not weakness. It is courage. It takes strength to unclench your heart. It takes faith to trust the unseen flow of life. And it takes wisdom to know when something is complete. Every ending carries a quiet beginning within it. You just need to be still enough to see it. Now, once you have let go, once your hands are no longer clinging, What will you hold instead? The answer lies in this next lesson, one that invites you to truly live. Not in the past or in imagined tomorrows, but in the only place where peace ever exists. Here. Now. Lesson 3. Practice presence, the art of being here. The mind loves to wander. It rushes ahead into the future, or drifts back into the past, rarely resting where life is actually happening. You can be sitting in a garden, surrounded by beauty. But if your mind is trapped in yesterday's pain or tomorrow's worries, you will miss the fragrance of this moment completely. That's why the Buddha taught mindfulness not as a concept, but as a way of living, moment by moment. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Presence is not something you have to achieve. It's what you already are when the noise fades away. When you stop running from what is. When you stop arguing with what exists. Right now, as you listen. This breath, this heartbeat, this awareness. This is your life. Not the goals you haven't reached yet. Not the mistakes you've made. Just this breath. The more you come home to it, the freer you become. Try this simple practice. When you wake up tomorrow morning, don't rush to check your phone or think about the day ahead. Instead, pause. Feel the air on your skin. Notice the weight of your body resting on the bed. Take one conscious breath, slow and full. Say silently, I am here, I am alive, and this moment is enough. That's presence. It's not grand. It's not dramatic. But it's powerful, because it roots you back in truth. Life becomes peaceful when you stop living inside stories and start living inside experience. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you listen, truly listen. The world reveals its beauty only to those who are actually here to see it. When you live with presence, time slows down. Joy becomes simple. Even pain becomes softer, because you meet it without resistance. Presence turns ordinary moments into sacred ones. It reminds you that peace was never somewhere else. It was always waiting for you to return. So let your mind be here. Let your heart be light. Let the river of life carry you gently, without control, without resistance. Because when you let go of what you can't control, and rest fully in the now, you begin to taste true freedom. In the next part, we'll go even deeper into the wisdom of contentment and acceptance, and how knowing enough can transform your suffering into serenity. It's like this. Imagine standing beside a river. Your thoughts are the water, always flowing, sometimes fast, sometimes calm, but you are not the river. You're the one sitting on the bank, watching the water move. Once you remember that, your thoughts stop drowning you. You begin to see them, not become them. And that single shift changes everything. Daily practice makes it real. Train your mind just as you train your body. Return to it each day, with patience, with love. Even when the noise outside is loud, even when life feels heavy. Because when your mind is calm, life follows. Even when the world shakes, you remain grounded. Even when everything falls apart, something within you stays whole. And that unshakable stillness, that's not weakness. That's power. You don't need a perfect life to find peace. You just need a calm mind to live it fully. In the next part, we'll explore another lesson from Buddhist wisdom, one that frees you from the heavy burden of trying to control everything. Because sometimes, peace isn't about holding on. It's about learning to let go. Gratitude, compassion, and the path to inner freedom. There's a story about a monk who lived high in the mountains. His only possessions were a robe, a wooden bowl, and a smile that never seemed to fade. One morning, a traveler climbed up to meet him. The traveler looked around at the small hut and said, "How can you be so happy when you have so little?" The monk smiled and replied, "You see little because you look only at what I don't have. But I see everything because I look at what I already do." The traveler didn't understand at first. So the monk poured him a cup of tea, and as the warm steam rose between them, he said softly, "Gratitude turns whatever we have into enough." Lesson 4: The power of gratitude. Gratitude isn't just saying, "Thank you." It's a way of seeing, a way of being in the world. When you live in gratitude, you stop chasing what's missing and start noticing what's present. Your focus shifts from what's wrong to what's right. From scarcity to abundance. From complaint to contentment. The Buddha once taught that contentment is the greatest wealth. Think about that, not gold, not status, not possessions, but contentment. Because no matter how much you own, if your mind is restless, you'll always feel poor. But even with little, if your heart is full, you'll feel rich beyond measure. Gratitude trains the mind to find light, even in darkness. When challenges come, gratitude whispers, "There's still something here to learn, something here to love." When life feels uncertain, gratitude says, "Even this breath is a miracle." You begin to see blessings in the things you once took for granted. The warmth of the sun, the laughter of a friend, the quiet strength in your own heart. And when you live this way, life stops feeling like a struggle, it becomes a gift. Try this simple daily practice. Each night before you sleep, name 3 things you're grateful for. They don't need to be grand. It could be the softness of your pillow, the taste of a meal, or a moment of peace in your day. As you do this, something changes, not outside, but inside. You start to notice how much life has already given you. And that awareness becomes your inner wealth, a calm that no one can take away. Gratitude turns your life from survival to celebration. It reminds you that, right here and right now, you have enough. Lesson 5: Compassion, the heart of all wisdom. If gratitude opens your eyes, compassion opens your heart. It's the bridge between you and the rest of the world. Buddhist teachings say that compassion, karuna, is not pity. It's not feeling sorry for others. It's recognizing that their pain is your pain, their joy is your joy. Because beneath all our stories, we are deeply connected. Just like drops of water in the same ocean. When you look into another person's eyes and truly see them, without judgment, without expectation, you begin to heal both them and yourself. Because compassion dissolves the illusion of separation. It turns me and you into us. And the moment you understand that, the heart softens. Anger melts. Forgiveness becomes natural. You stop seeing enemies, you start seeing suffering. And when you see suffering, the only natural response is kindness. A great teacher once said, "Hatred never ends by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal law." Compassion is that love. Not sentimental or weak, but fierce and courageous. It's the kind of love that chooses peace when revenge feels easier. The kind that listens instead of shouting. The kind that prays for others even when they've caused harm. How do we cultivate compassion? It begins within. You cannot give what you do not have. So start by being kind to yourself. When your mind makes mistakes, forgive it. When your heart feels tired, rest it. When you suffer, hold yourself the way you'd hold a hurting child, gently, with warmth. This self-compassion is not selfish, it's the soil where all other compassion grows. When you heal within, your peace becomes a gift to others. Your calm becomes their comfort. Your kindness becomes their reminder that love still exists in this world. Compassion doesn't require perfection. It asks only for presence. To look at another human being and say, "I see you, you matter." Every act of kindness, no matter how small, ripples out in ways you'll never see. A smile, a gentle word, a moment of patience, they can change someone's entire day. And in changing their day, you change the world, one heart at a time. So, live with gratitude for all that you have. And compassion for all that you meet. Together, they make the mind peaceful and the heart vast. A place where joy and sorrow can both exist. Where love never runs out. And where peace is no longer something you search for. It's something you become. In the final part, we'll explore the last steps of inner freedom, learning acceptance, living with purpose, and walking gently on this earth with an awakened heart. Because true enlightenment isn't somewhere far away. It's right here, in the way you breathe, love, and live each day. Acceptance, purpose, and living with an awakened heart. There's an ancient story of a monk who meditated beside a lake every morning. One day, a young man approached him, troubled and angry. He said, "Master, my life is full of suffering. I've tried to change my fate, my job, even the people around me, but nothing works. What am I doing wrong?" The old monk smiled gently, picked up a handful of water from the lake, and let it slip through his fingers. "See this water?" he said. "When I hold it tightly, it escapes me, but when I open my hand, it stays." Then he added softly, "Peace comes when you stop fighting with life, and begin to flow with it." The young man fell silent. In that moment, he understood, acceptance is not giving up. It's the art of finding peace within what is. Lesson 6. Acceptance, flowing with life. To accept doesn't mean to approve. It doesn't mean to like everything that happens. It means to see things clearly, as they are, and stop wishing they were something else. In Buddhist teachings, acceptance is the gateway to wisdom. Because you can't transform what you refuse to see. When you resist life, you create tension. But when you accept it, you create space, and in that space, freedom is born. Think about the seasons. The tree does not resist the coming of winter. It doesn't fight the falling of its leaves. It simply lets go, trusting that spring will return in its own time. Life asks us to do the same. When things fall apart, let them. When people leave, bless them. When uncertainty arrives, meet it with curiosity instead of fear. You can still act. You can still grow. But you do so from a place of peace, not panic. Acceptance turns pain into purpose. It transforms the storm into a teacher. There's a quiet strength in saying, "This is what's here right now. I may not like it, but I will face it with love." That simple statement can shift your entire energy. Because suffering grows not from the event itself, but from the story you tell about it. When you stop saying, "This shouldn't be happening," and instead ask, "What is life teaching me through this?" you step out of resistance and into wisdom. Acceptance doesn't make you passive. It makes you peaceful. And from that peace, wise action naturally flows. You don't need to control life to live it well. You only need to meet each moment with awareness and openness. In that openness lies the deepest kind of freedom. The freedom to be fully alive, no matter what happens. Lesson 7. Live with purpose, not pressure. When the Buddha was asked what the purpose of life is, he didn't speak of wealth, power, or fame. He simply said, "To awaken." Awakening doesn't mean withdrawing from life. It means living it deeply, consciously, compassionately, with your eyes open and your heart alive. Purpose isn't something you find in a faraway dream. It's something you express in the small, sacred moments of everyday life. The way you speak, the way you listen, the way you show kindness without being asked. That's purpose. Many people spend their lives chasing a big mission, waiting for something grand to validate their existence. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us that true purpose is presence in action. You don't need to move mountains. You only need to move with love in whatever you do. If you wash dishes, wash them with care. If you work, Work with intention. If you rest, rest fully. When every act becomes an expression of awareness, you are already living your purpose. Purpose is not pressure. It's peace in motion. You are not here to become someone else. You are here to remember who you already are. A being of awareness, of compassion, of light. When you live this way, you stop comparing. You stop competing. And you start contributing, simply by being yourself. And that, dear friend, is enlightenment in its truest form. Lesson 8. Living with an awakened heart. The awakened heart is not perfect. It still feels sadness, fear, and pain. But it meets them with understanding, not resistance. It knows that every emotion, joy or sorrow, is part of the human journey. And it welcomes them all with gentle curiosity. To live with an awakened heart means to live fully. To love deeply. To forgive easily. To let go freely. And to be present for every sacred breath. There's a saying from the Zen tradition. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The outer life doesn't change much. You still work, cook, laugh, cry, dream. But the way you experience it transforms completely. Before awakening, life feels heavy, chaotic, and full of demands. After awakening, the same life feels sacred. Because you see the divine in everything. The flower, the wind, the sound of rain, the face of a stranger. All become mirrors reflecting the same truth. You and life are not separate. When you awaken, peace stops being something you search for. It becomes the ground you walk on. When you love without fear. When you act without attachment. When you rest without guilt. That is the heart of awakening. A gentle strength, a boundless compassion. A calm that no storm can steal. Closing reflection. And so, as we come to the end of this journey through Buddhist wisdom, remember this. You don't need to reach a distant temple to find enlightenment. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. Every breath, every act of awareness, every choice to return to peace is already the path. The mind will wander. The heart will ache. But the light within you will never go out. Return to it. Trust it. Live from it. Because you, just as you are, breathing, learning, and growing, are already enough. May you walk this world lightly, seeing beauty in imperfection, peace in uncertainty, and love in every living thing. May your heart be calm, your mind be clear, and your spirit forever free.